Yep, we are on air. Okay, one moment. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. It's 7 p.m. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board. Michael Ray Jeffries cannot be with us this evening to chair, so I, Lou Franco, as vice chair, will be acting chair this evening. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Do we have any public comment from the board this evening?
Just two announcements. I'm sure that, are you going to announce them?
Go ahead.
No, I'll leave the announcements. I'll do it at the end of the meeting, if they're going to be announced now, so.
Okay. I'm going to do things a little out of order. I'm going to take all of the public comments here and then return to make a comment myself. Town manager, do we have any announcements this evening?
Announcements?
Not announcements, I'm sorry. Public comments.
Public comment? I do not have a public comment.
Okay. Any public comment from the public? Anybody on Zoom?
I feel like this gets closer and closer. Ashley Braun, 607 Reservoir Road, here in Lunenburg. I didn't know what to do, so I wrote you a letter. I guess nobody writes letters anymore. I sent you an email. I'm having an issue with my dock, as you know. I have a very small section of frontage on Lake Shirley. We have about 26 feet. My neighbor at 609, he owns house 609, which is a cottage that he rents, and his own house at 611. Got his land surveyed, and at the pin closest to my property has angled his dock. That is now preventing my right-of-way to Lake Shirley. I didn't know what to do when he did this, so Todd and I went to conservation, and we asked Sophia, what are the rules? We always thought our dock was grandfathered in. We found out we needed an RDA, requesting permission to put our dock in the water. And so that's what we did. We sought out help from the town, from the Conservation Board, and we got that RDA approved. I believe it was April 17th, and I sent you all a link to that meeting as well. I was on vacation down in South Carolina, so I left that meeting early, but at the end of the meeting, they did vote to have an enforcement on my neighbor's dock. As his dock, he has a primary dock at his residence already, but this secondary dock that he decided to put in, I believe for his tenant, he does not have approval for. And he's angled it in such a way that it's just absolutely heartbreaking. And I did try to speak with him last fall. I don't understand why this has happened. And since then, we've tried to talk to him, but it has been more, this is what I'm going to do, not a compromising situation. So not to get long-winded, when I sought out advice from Conservation. They said they can't tell him to take his dock out of the water, but they can request that he fill out all the appropriate paperwork. I'm asking the board, because the town owns the lake, to say, hey, this isn't, you didn't fill out the required forms with Conservation, the DEP, whomever. You need to take your dock out of the lake until it's approved. And I apologize for getting emotional, but I have 2 kids. I have a stepson. I have an 8-year-old daughter. And I mean, it stinks being on the lake and not being able to use the lake the way we've always known how to use the lake. If I was to put in a dock the way it was approved now, it would make a triangle with our docks, and I wouldn't be able to get my boat on there. Now, is this like the worst of all problems that anyone in town could have? No, absolutely not. But I'm standing before you tonight to put a face to that email. Todd would have been here, but he's currently coaching baseball down at Fitzgerald Field, and my daughter's playing. So that's, I know it's public comment and you can't really respond unless, but that's where I'm at. I'm coming in front of the town and asking for help, because to me, I don't know where else to turn. Thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
first of all, thank you for coming forward. Second of all, it's not that we can't comment, it's that we don't have to comment.
Right.
But I will comment, because I did read your email, and I did look at the photos, and I did research it, and I think it's horrible. And I think I wanted to touch base with Conservation, because I think there's got to be something more that you can do, because it's obviously taking away someone's property rights as they extend. And I don't know, I'm not a conservation person, so I don't know what all the laws are, but I will touch base with them, because what you're going through, you shouldn't have to go through. And neighbors shouldn't act like that. I could say that, but it doesn't really matter what I think, because people are the way they are sometimes. But thank you for coming forward.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that, too. I saw those photos and your email, and I think it's horrible as well. There's, you can't police all conduct, but so there's could, and, I mean, there's can and should, right? Like, maybe they can. I don't know whether they can or not. That has to be determined, but they certainly shouldn't. And, but I suspect that, and I'm just making comments off the cuff here, not representing, the board here or anything, just off the cuff, that I suspect that there's some remedy out there for, interfering with the quiet enjoyment and reasonable expectations of your property. So I just think it's not right. So hopefully it will get remedied. Any other public comments from Mr. Burden?
Actually, wasn't going to comment, I was just listening, but that was very refreshing and very you know my situation that's going on, all of you, sent in emails, everything, talking about conservation land. What's the town doing about what I've reported? I'll leave it at that, because you guys don't report to me. I'll leave it at that. I was going to make a comment today, but an eighth of an acre of
If you're going to still talk, please come to the mic.
eighth of an acre taken of conservation land, I think the town should know. Or it's a private conservation land that's been taken over by a homeowner. Haven't gotten much response from the town about that. And I've outlined it, I've documented it, given you guys everything. This is just one piece of the situation that I've been attacked. Okay, and we all know what happened January 9th with you, Mr. Franco. I think some comments made from, Mr. Jeffries. I finally got to the bottom of it. I'm pretty calmed down now, because, I was being attacked, and it gets over the, what you might call a witch hunt. I think I'm over the hump of that, and we'll get to the bottom of it, but it was very refreshing. I've never gotten respect, I think, to the town when I've reported things similar to this. I've gotten attacked instead. And we do feel there's some connections to the town we've never gotten talked to. The town managers refused to talk to us. We went to her on October 31st, 2022, discussed some of our issues, and from that point forward, we got attacked like no tomorrow. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
It's sad, honestly.
Any additional public comment from the public? Okay. Look familiar, but please introduce yourselves for the record.
We're Pete and Debbie Lincoln from Hemlock Drive, and we're here to make a presentation to the board tonight. Between us, we've lived in this town and worked in this town and volunteered in this town for 120 years. And one of the things we've been always most proud of, Lunenburg, is the incredible amount of volunteerism that goes into running this place. I know it's been mentioned a couple of times by the board, but the volunteerism in this town has always been at a very high level. And it isn't just the appointed boards that aren't paid. Maybe you don't all remember, but in 2000, the select board actually had a small stipend and benefits. The charter took that away. But every board that works here is all doing this for free and volunteerism. And just for the fun of it, as I sit in another meeting this morning, I thought of other groups that volunteer in this town that aren't always even recognized, such as the Lions Club, the Salvation Army, the Turkey Hill Gardeners, the PTO, the Skateboard Kids, Hickory Hills Christmas Decorations, the kids' coaches in the small leagues, Senior Center volunteers, the various toll booth operators, and even the people that run the McNally Field. All volunteers that do this all for nothing, taking away from their families, their time, and their pocketbook, because they like to benefit the town. But the group that most benefits the town and gives the most to the town is the Select Board. And so Deb had an idea a couple weeks ago. I'd like to have her explain it.
So we pretty much watch or come to all the select board meetings. And you folks not only are here, but liaise to so many other of the committees and boards and give your time to them as well. And you're the face of the public, and you take a lot of abuse sometimes and a lot of criticism. And we thought, or both of us thought, that you should get some recognition. So I want to thank the Lunenburg Library and the Lunenburg Historical Society, because we went back and researched back to 1900 to all of the people who have served on the select board, and we would like to present you with a plaque thanking all of you for these last years, everyone who served on this board, with our deepest thanks to all of you.
65 men and 9 women.
And we hope you'll find a good place to put this up and let people thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
I think it would be best
Looks heavy.
Why don't you go down? Yeah, there should be.
Yes.
Should we all go down? Okay.
I'll take a picture. Run up to all of you back in there.
It's pretty heavy. You should be in this too.
Yeah, it has to be additional ones.
I'm sorry Michael Ray's not here, but.
Yeah.
Stand behind, being the tallest.
You got it over Deb anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's not too hard.
I'm busy straining, holding it.
You're turning red.
So when is it from? When is the year? From
1900.
Wow.
1900.
We had to go through the Old Town reports to get the dates.
Right.
And the dates are awkward because they would start one year in the middle and then in the middle of another year, so it looked like it was a 4-year term, when we were 3.
Right.
But as long as the town reports are accurate, this should be accurate.
That's unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Like I said, we jumped the board, go down a little bit, but we figured that was safe. We didn't want to have to speak back.
Yeah, I think you're probably. It's gorgeous. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Good luck carrying it.
It does look very heavy.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Oh, they're gone. So, I am, many of you know that tonight is my last meeting on the Select Board. My term expires. I made the decision not to run again, and I announced that in February. And that is when I made my longer statement, explaining my rationale and my reasonings and outlining some of the accomplishments this board accomplished and other committees and towns, the town manager, while I was on this board with our state delegation as well. So tonight this is really just about the thank yous quickly. So I do want to thank my present colleagues on the board, Caesar, Tom, Renee, and Michael Ray. And also the members that I served with in the past. So I've served with a total of 7 members in 3 years. In addition to the 4 current other members, I served with Todd Dwyer, Heather Sroka, and Jim Marino. So I thank them as well, and I remember my time with them. I thank the town manager. I've enjoyed working with you.
Same.
And we've been we've had ups and downs, but that's totally to be expected. But the measure of character and the measure of integrity is how you get through it. Sometimes you wish you had some things back. You do something long enough, if you put your neck out there long enough and take chances, there are things you wish you could have back. But the important way to look at this, or the best way to look at this, is sort of in terms of batting average. How do you bat overall? You're going to strike out, you're going to hit home runs. I also want to thank people that I have served and interacted with on various other boards and committees in town, and not to diminish the importance of all of those, but I do want to especially thank the members of the Council on Aging. I particularly enjoyed that service. But there were others too, the Economic Development Committee, Master Plan, and others. I want to also thank our state delegation, which I think is fabulous. I think the 3 members of our state delegation are really fine people and are really good leaders and advocates for this town and for the residents. And I want to, lastly, but certainly not least, thank the residents of Lunenburg once again for putting your trust in me. You elected me. It's a position that I took most seriously. It's an important charge, and you put your faith in me, and I appreciate it. And I do hope I was a good representative, a good leader for all, because once the election is over, you serve all of the people. So, thank you, all.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Vice Chair? I don't know what I'm supposed to call you.
You can call me chair
Mr.
this
Chair
evening.
tonight.
Okay.
So we've worked together, we've known each other before you were on the board, when we met as fellow clockwinders. I'm sure there's some clockwinder handshake we probably should know by now. But then running here and the service in town, working together on the senior tax relief, as well as other smaller things, but that was the big one that you and I worked on. And when you start talking about batting average, I think that maybe like the Lincolns, maybe you should start a selectmen's bubblegum cards. We can have stats on the back and
I like that.
commemorate the home runs. But but more seriously, as the Lincolns said, and I didn't know they were doing that tonight, but it really is well timed. I mean, really these jobs, not only this job, but all municipal jobs here, because all the appointed and elected officials, with the exception of the town clerk, are volunteer and free. There's no pay involved at all, not even a stipend or any services. And that's the core of how things get run in large part. Yeah, we have paid employees, but the policies and the direction is done by volunteers. And, you volunteering for those 3 years, doesn't matter that it was one term, it's still giving energy away from your family and to the town. And so for that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alonso. Thank you.
I'll just briefly add on to that, since I assumed that we would do this towards the end, but I guess we can all share our thoughts on Lou now. I think you, during your time on the select board, you were judicious, thoughtful, fair, and very thorough with everything that came before you. And I think that was very clear to the public, but what might not be clear to the public is what it was like working with you as a colleague. And I am just so grateful that we worked together, and I really cannot overstate how much of a tremendous resource you were as a new member. So I'm extremely grateful, and you absolutely will be missed. So I sincerely thank you for everything, and I wish you the best of luck when you leave the board.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I'll just add my thanks as well.
Gonna pile on, okay.
I'll pile on. So we only overlap for a year, but I know firsthand now how much of a commitment it is to do this. And I know you volunteered on other boards even before select board. So I want to thank you for all of your time on all of the boards. And I want to wish you well. Don't work too hard in your real job. But again, thank you and best of luck. Maybe we'll see you back at some point.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll just add on too.
Bring it.
I think Select Board member Nzolo said it very well, is you approach everything so logically, and you weigh everything out. You listen to both sides evenly before making decisions, which I respect a lot. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. So, with that, let's do this thing one more time. Any announcements?
The annual town election is this Saturday, May 18th, at the TC Passios building. And there is an override question on the ballot. And I see signs around, it says article number 1, it's question number 1.
I think that's for the water
I think the ones
district,
you
right?
said are from the water district.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I thought that
missed-
too at first. So,
All right.
Yeah.
But that question was asked to me about the election, so that's why I wanted to make sure that was clear as well. Which article was it on the annual town election? So it is question 1. There is only one question on the ballot. Was there another announcement?
Mr. Chair, yeah, so I'll say the other announcement, since we
Was
just
the Water
mentioned it,
District?
is that the Water District
Yeah.
meeting for those in the Lunenburg Water District is this Thursday, 6:30 at the high school auditorium. It's not at the Water District as their meetings typically tend to be, but this one is, because I think they're expecting a large turnout, is at the high school auditorium, and it is for $32 million for a water treatment plant that includes two of their, well, one well field and one additional well.
Okay. And just to note, the time of the annual town election on Saturday is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And I'll also just add on to that, because yesterday I went to Town Hall and voted myself, because I'm not going to be here this weekend. So absentee voting is available at the town clerk's office until Friday, right?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, communications from other boards. Yes.
Good evening. Mark Bursch, I'm the chairman of the Board of Water Commissioners. I'm joined by Fran McNamara, the superintendent of the Water District. Obviously, the Water District is disappointed that the Select Board voted on May 8th not to support the district plan for PFAS treatment options. What is most concerning is that a special interest group, the Lunenburg Citizens for Affordable Clean Water was allowed to present information that was not factual, taken out of context, and the district was not provided any time for rebuttal. What is also concerning is the information included in their presentation was provided by Select Board Member Emke. It is the district's opinion that Select Board Member Emke should have abstained from voting and participating in any decisions regarding the district's PFAS treatment options. Select Board Member Emke's father, William Emke, is part of a special interest group, the Lunenburg Citizens for Affordable Clean Water, formerly known as the Ad Hoc Hickory Hills Well Committee. This is a direct conflict of interest. Her actions are a violation of the trust in which the public has placed in her as an elected official to do the right thing on behalf of the entire town, and not in her own family's vested interests, as well as the group that she's a member of. There was also doubt casted about the funding, whether we would receive the SRF funding. And the state revolving fund allows communities like Lunenburg to finance projects at 0% interest with principal forgiveness. The correspondence we received from Mass DEP is similar to a pre-approval letter one would get when applying for a mortgage. It is a statement from a lender that they are tentatively willing to lend you money up to a certain loan amount. The letter may outline a number of contingencies. In our case, the contingencies are deadlines that need to be met and a vote on behalf of the district to take the loan. What the district has to understand, if we vote to take this money and accept the 0% with principal forgiveness, and the state takes it back, we can't do anything. And I'm sure that, most of the board members that have been on a while, when you appropriate funds, we can't just reallocate those funds to something else. So if we don't receive those funds, we can't do the project. So to say we shouldn't do the project because we're not getting the funding is wrong. The cost of treatment is not going down. It's only going to rise. Is this board prepared to provide additional financial support to those who reside within the district for potential increases of the increased cost of treatment plan should the voters reject the plan based on the selectmen's vote not to support the district's plan? I also had asked the superintendent to come tonight to talk about the last-minute information that we did not receive any of on claims that the Lancaster Ave wells do not need to be treated. So I asked him to come tonight and give the board and the public a clearer view of Lancaster Ave as it is operating today. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to go over a little bit of the sampling procedures. Mass DEP gives us a sampling plan. In that plan, they have every contaminant that's out there, and they give us a scheduling plan of when to test for them. So in the particular case of the PFAS, Ms. Emke gave accurate numbers to what our sample results were for a blended sample. So when the state says, go take a PFAS sample, they say they want it blended, meaning turn all the wells on to Lancaster Ave and take a sample out of the 100-foot tap, which is the water that's entering the water system. Okay, but so I don't use that as actually what I would determine as the wells in Lancaster Ave needing treatment. So when you do the individual testing for each of the wells, that tells you which wells have the highest amount of PFAS or PFOS or PFOA, there's all different ones now, for which ones that need the treatment and which ones you can operate solely on their own need. So one thing I just make it clear, all this EPA stuff coming out, I mean, you'll hear a lot of people that a result of Bunyan 4 is 0, and I'm not going to argue with any of that. A lot of this stuff is in the beginning phases, so they haven't come out with the new testing requirements yet. So in the future, we will be testing wells individually. So I just want to make it known that in 2021, we tested all the wells individually. Well number 5 That's our most capable well, capable of running long-term, consistent use during summertime. That's the only one on Lancaster Ave. That one came back with a, in 2021, it came back with a PFOA reading of 5.3, so maximum is 4.0, and a PFOS at 3.88. The last sample we took, which I actually just got the results on Friday, which was in August of 2023, the PFOA result was 6.1, and the PFOS was 3.8 again, so that number stayed consistent. So the point I'm trying to make is, as I've mentioned it numerous times, well 1 and well 4 have very limited use. Just even now with the high water tables, you'll see levels of 3 feet of water in the well. So when you get to summertime where the water tables are down like 10 feet, we're struggling to keep the wells online. So the main well on Lancaster Ave is well number 5. That's our go-to well at that location. So because of these PFAS results, that's not going to be an option to us. So the only time it will be able to run is if we're mixing it with all the other form. We're not going to be able to do that. So, and then there's a whole other side of, we're required to do more frequent sampling for manganese. Manganese is, the maximum level is 0.3. Hickory Hills was shut off because it exceeded the 0.3. The wells in Lancaster Ave typically run 0.25, and because it was so close to the 0.3, DEP makes us do, in some cases, monthly testing, quarterly testing on certain ones. So a benefit of this PFAS, which really is no benefit of it, is that we will be able to treat the manganese as well. So I know a lot of people have different opinions on the PFAS, but I've tried in the past. I think it was 6 years ago. I tried to do a pilot test for Hickory Hills and Lancaster Ave, and it was voted down. But this is just something that's been ongoing for quite a few years. So for just a note, the Lunenburg's highest producing well is Keating's. That pumps 1.4 million gallons a day. Hickory Hills does 0.72, and well 5 on Lancaster Ave does 0.4. And of all the high-producing sources of water in Lunenburg, everyone needs PFAS treatment. That's all I just want to say, just so you're aware. But down the road, I will change our sampling, even though it says to do a blended sample. I'll do every sample. We'll sample every well individually so we can get a accurate idea of what's ahead of us in the PFAS. Thank you.
So again, just emphasizing that we've spent a lot of time on this plan. Chair Jeffries, I thought, said it well. When you charge, when you have elected a board and you have professionals in a position and you charge them with taking care of your water supply, which is in this case, that maybe sometimes you, actually all the time, trust in their judgment. We have professional engineers that have designed this plan for us. It is approved by our regulating authority, which is the DEP, our state regulating authority. They are in favor of this. They think it's a good plan. We are looking towards the future. We aren't looking at what we need right now to get by. And this is not going to get any cheaper. I was on the phone with a person from DEP today, and she stated a fact that we already know. There's 161 communities plus in Massachusetts that are now at this 4 parts per trillion, and they are going to need treatment. 66,000 communities nationwide. If you take $13 billion from the federal government and divide that, it's not a lot of money at all. We have what I feel is the best plan, financially planning for the future, and that's what we are trying to communicate to people the best way we know how, through Facebook, through these public meetings, and trying to have as many people's input as we can. And I guess that's where I'm gonna close for today, and if I didn't know if the board had any questions.
Any questions?
I have some comments.
Okay, can I reserve the right to? I don't know.
First of all, town meeting.
It's probably not going to be any,
But it doesn't matter.
yeah.
But it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not against people saying that we should have a say, you know, that the boards do their work, and I don't think anybody said that at the meeting. I think that people arguing that it's not necessarily the best plan with the best price at the time. But when you come with the news that you just came tonight, that first of all, to categorize people, you're saying yourself, you're on Facebook, you're a 3-member elected body and a superintendent, and you're posting all over, but people can't organize to form a group to communicate. All of a sudden, that's a special interest group. Well, you know what? I'm not a member of that group, but I believe everything that group says, and I'm not on a lake. You know, so to categorize people, this happens all the time. This happens with the override, right? It's always the special interest. It's like, oh, the school people or the library people. It's so nauseating eventually that that's the argument. You know, argue the plan. You know, people don't like the plan. I don't like the plan because I'm not convinced, and I think we have a right. If it was just trust your elected officials, then you wouldn't need a meeting. And reasonable people, as our own chair says constantly, can disagree. But to disagree and discredit them as, quote, special interest, it's such a weak argument. Secondly, if you're going to come over, and I didn't hear what the superintendent said that disavowed or disagreed with the data that group was given that came to that conclusion about the Lancaster wells. If there's data that was presented that each one of those wells is done, like was just suggested here, or that's a new methodology, fine, that's the new methodology. But that's not the methodology and that's not the data you gave that group to review. So that calls into question, like, we're just using the data that you're giving. You have all the data. We have none of it. So, again, coming in at the last minute saying, well, that's not a way to interpret that, and then criticizing the person who did it. And then lastly, to go after a fellow selectman who has no authority over the water district and the water district question. The only reason we took a vote is because you, as the chair, asked that it's such an important thing you should take a vote. But when you didn't like the way the vote went, you made a public records request against a fellow member because they acted in some conflict of interest. What conflict of interest? She has no authority over the water district. It's not even our purview. It's a completely separate municipal entity that we get told time and time again about. But now she should have recused herself because she dared to have an opinion and communicate with people who had a similar opinion. And these are all, to me, weak arguments. You know, the meeting will be decided on Thursday by the merits of the plan. And however it goes, it goes. But these kind of tactics, to me, are just, you know, they're really uncalled for, and they're really, they don't raise the level of discussion. They actually demean the level of discussion. Those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
Questions or comments by others?
My only comments back are probably mirroring Mr. Alonso's comments, because it could be said from this side as well. So I would agree. I agree it's very difficult for the community to work together, and I don't know how we change that. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that's the only board communication, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Appointments, we don't have any appointments, do we?
No appointments, but
Okay.
ratifications.
So, interviews, appointments, reappointments, resignations. I've teed that up. I'll hand it off to you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are two appointments that I'm asking the board to ratify tonight. One is for the Police Public Safety Coordinator position, and the applicant is Kennedy Jackson. And the other is for Public Access Videographer George Martin. I'll start with the first. In April, when the prior Public Safety Coordinator resigned, the Public Safety Coordinator position was posted internally. The current Public Safety Desk Clerk, Kennedy Jackson, was the only applicant. The HR Director and I interviewed Kennedy and agreed with Chief Gamel's recommendation that she'll be a great fit for the position. Before being hired for the Public Safety Desk Clerk position in January of 2023, Kennedy interned with the Police Department in that same capacity for that position. Based on her understanding of the position, the knowledge and experience she has gained being in this role, and her good working relationship with staff in the police department, I'm happy to recommend to the board if they will ratify Kennedy's position tonight as the next public safety coordinator.
Any questions, comments?
None, but I'll move to ratify the town manager's appointment of Police Public Safety Coordinator Kennedy Jackson.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. That's
Thank you.
4-0 in favor.
The next appointment is for the position of public access videographer, asking the board to ratify George Martin for this position. George is a retired Lunenburg resident that is also active in town government. He has been a member of the Finance Committee, Capital Planning Committee, a clock winder, and involved in many other community groups. A few years ago, George volunteered to record several high school hockey games and concerts for public access. The public access manager said he did a fantastic job and made a significant contribution to public access programming. George has a great knowledge of the town and his prior work experience in volunteering for the public access, and asking the board ratify George for this position.
I move that we, well.
Any questions? Questions, comments?
I'm jumping ahead.
Technically we can, if you want to.
Questions, comments? Okay.
I will move that we approve, or we ratify the town manager's appointment of the public access videographer, George Martin.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sounds like 4-0 to me.
And to just go down the list, the resignation of the assistant to the sewer business manager, Camille Farrar. The board did receive correspondence regarding Camille's resignation and the reasons cited. I am looking more into what those issues were. There was never a direct, I was CC'd on some emails regarding Munis, and for varying reasons, whether it was being able to access, but one had to do with a forced upgrade that we had to do at one point. Another had to do with code charges. So some technical reasons for problems she was having with Munis, and the sewer business manager having to spend so much of her time on issues this year with Munis did not have sufficient time to train her as well. So I think there's more to dive into there. It was a complete surprise to me and to the director that she resigned. But in all my interaction with Camille was always very positive. So I appreciate the time that she spent with the town and thank her for her service.
Mr. Chair, just as a side note or a tangent to that, have the issues with Munis been resolved, the remaining ones with the sewer billing?
There is a remaining issue that I believe was resolved yesterday, but I have to
Okay.
speak.
Thank you.
Today. The last was the retirement of the assessor's administrative assessing assistant, Sheila Cragen. And Sheila had been with the town for many, many years, and she had been on leave since around October, November timeframe, and has announced that she will be retiring tomorrow is her official retirement date. So we thank Sheila for her many years of service, and we'll be sending her a thank you letter as well.
Yeah, I'll say that having spent 11 years on the Board of Assessors before coming to this board, I worked with Sheila pretty closely. I knew her pretty well, and I really liked her. She was, a class person, a nice person to work with.
Yes,
Yes, please extend our thanks and good luck in her retirement.
I will do. And I know last year was a very tough year for everyone in the assessor's office, and Sheila was, she was always handled everything like a professional. So I want to thank her for that as well.
All right. Town manager report.
Okay. It is a short report tonight. Already announced the annual town election this Saturday, May 18th, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the DC Passios Building. And the last yard waste day will be May 18th as well, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 27 Youngs Road. There are board and committee vacancies, 1 vacancy on the Architectural Preservation District Commission, 2 associate vacancies on the Green Communities Committee, 1 member-at-large vacancy on the Open Space Committee, and 1 vacancy on the Personnel Committee. Anyone interested in any of these positions can fill out a volunteer application form on the town website and return it to the Select Board's office. Or if you have any questions on the roles and responsibilities, you can call our office as well at 978-582-4130, extension 144. For employment opportunities with the town, we have the following positions: a administrative assessing assistant that I just announced due to a retirement, that is 32 hours a week. Assistant to the sewer business manager, also announced tonight, which is 19 hours a week. The land use director position, which is 40 hours a week. Library page positions, those hours vary. Planning board administrative assistant, which is 36 hours a week. Seasonal cemetery laborers, and seasonal lifeguards. And information on these positions can be found on the town website under job opportunities. We have 2 bids out currently. The landscaping for town facilities and parks, that is due on June 11th, and a bid for removal of solid waste at the Woodruff property, which is 104 Fairview Road, and that is due June 12th. Any questions?
I do not. Any questions from the board?
No.
If you don't mind, Matt, were you about to say something, Mr. Alonso? Okay. If you don't mind, thank you for the report, but if you said it, I didn't hear it, but I just, and I normally wouldn't do this, but I think it's just important to highlight that as part of the town election, which is this Saturday, the override question is on the ballot, as in addition to the various seats on the boards and
Yes.
committees. So, okay. Old business, okay, so so next thing is the disposal of surplus property policy. What is the objective on this tonight? I think we have looked at this in the past, and I believe there have been now some final edits. Is that the status?
Yes, so I have made a few edits. One, Select Board Member Alonso pointed out about kind of mirroring paragraph A to be similar procedure, step by step. So that basically just spells out the Mass General Law under, for items with a value over 10,000. And another edit was for the, regarding disposal of enterprise items. So those funds should be deposited back into the enterprise accounts, the appropriate enterprise account. And that's something that I had a question on that I asked our finance director to reach out to the Division of Local Services on, and they confirmed that.
Okay, so as with the, please give me the name of that previous policy we looked at with the funds, what was the name of that?
The revenue turnover policy?
Yeah, right, revenue turnover policy, right. So all the various players and constituencies who needed to, that you feel needed to be.
Yes, I would ask the board maybe just to wait till next Tuesday on this. There was one question on library books.
We're talking about this policy?
Yes.
Yeah.
That I sent out the latest draft to the department heads and asked for feedback by today, but haven't received any, but I would give them till next Tuesday. I think that's fine to wait till then.
That works for me. Okay. Any questions or comments on this at this time?
I don't have any.
Nope. Looks all straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move on. Current business, so we will not review the draft tax investigation report tonight. That was on the original agenda, but not appropriate to do tonight with the chair missing, or not here. So do we have any discussion, well, I'm inviting discussion on follow-up items for annual town meeting.
Well, we did have, we mentioned putting everything into a policy that we did to prepare for a very large turnout, which ultimately wasn't needed. But, yeah, I guess if we wanted to turn that into a policy for us to reference in the future, exactly what we were planning on doing and prepared to do for a large turnout, it's the only thing that I can really think of, since we did discuss that. But other than that, I don't know of anything.
I would agree. I think since it's fresh in everyone's mind and put it together, we might as well capture that now before it kind of dispels in the summer sun as people's heads bake.
It wasn't really a policy or
Oh,
procedure.
Okay,
Mhm,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on,
Great.
what's the matter?
Renee, anything on this?
No, that sounds, yeah, that's it.
Okay. No sense prolonging it, so that's good. That's a good takeaway from that. So,
Ooh, maybe one thing.
Okay.
Thinking of the procedure, because this came up during the town meeting, a little video of how to work those clickers, like a screenshot or something.
Oh.
Not a
that shows,
screenshot, an actual
okay.
video.
Well, that
Well,
shows
a
the
3-minute
display.
video that shows
Yeah.
the display, that shows how you know it's been recorded.
Yeah,
If
that's
it's
a good
working, if you
idea.
have a signal, if you get the okay.
Not to keep
A
clicking,
little,
clicking.
yes, not to keep clicking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually sound advice by that gentleman, because that's the way the tech
Yeah.
works, so.
A little video would probably make it easier for the moderator too.
Little demo video.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's worth many pages of explanation, textual explanation. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just to, I know I've already said it, but I want to thank everyone who was involved in that process, because it took a lot of preparation and a lot of time, a lot of people to get ready for that. And we always do a pre-town meeting to prep as well, in addition to that. We do run-throughs in the auditorium, but this took a lot of extra time to go through, so I want to thank everyone that was
There
involved
is
in
one
that.
thing from a technical standpoint that I think we should discuss with the manufacturer. It was a little bit disconcerting. It's not like we had thousands of people there. At the height, we had like 360 people. And the fact that there was that much of a delay with 360 people, that alarmed me a bit. You know, it's not like we had 2,000 or we had people in the other room that had to go through the repeaters. I get that. I mean, I understand why that might cause a lag. But there should not be a lag if everybody's in the same room with that kind of technology. And that, again, we should discuss with the company, hey, was this something that is known? Or is this something that we can do to improve?
Yeah, we knew there would be a 30-second lag if clickers were used in other,
Right,
the
and that I
overflow
understand.
rooms,
Right.
but not within the auditorium.
Okay. Review draft license agreement with Shady Point. I did a pretty thorough deep dive on this last week, so I do have a couple of comments, but I'll first invite comments and questions from the board.
I read it through and I had no comments. I thought it was well thought out and I'm in favor of this. I know it's in their hands, in the Shady Point owner's hands, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
so-
we're.
So I didn't have any changes. I was fine with the way it was.
Any other?
Same here. I can't see the sidebar because it opens the PDF on the
Yeah.
iPads. So,
Saw it on
you
my
know, I
computer.
do remember the specific areas where town council did ask us to review. So I guess we could
Do you want
maybe
me
at
to
least
walk
go
through
through it.
those?
Because I know the first one was up with permitted uses.
So
That was
purpose,
just more of a statement.
okay,
It
you
wasn't
want me to
really
walk through,
feedback.
because I have it on
Yeah,
my
sure.
screen? Second.
That's what I had on my computer, so I don't have it on
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
Under section 2, purposes and uses, the sidebar note was, this section was based entirely on Shady Point's February 14th letter to the town. So that's how that section was drafted. Section 4 for term, it's highlighted renewing yearly terms. So Attorney Costa said it's up to the town if this, we would like this to be annually renewing. We can alter this to be a different term.
Renewing, wait a minute, he wants to change it from yearly to annually? What is the
Or
difference?
specifically
No, he
maybe
has
that's
it
automatically.
written as renewing in yearly terms.
Oh.
It can be a different term.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so it's
okay.
more about like
Okay.
the words
So-
that are
It
there.
automatically
Okay.
renews them.
Term meaning duration, not term meaning word.
There was,
Right.
that reminds me of one comment I did have. So in that term, it talks about renewing yearly, but then it talks about a very specific date and time.
Yeah, I was
At
actually
the
gonna
end,
bring that up.
when, until the Lake Shirley Dam, until the dam opens on October 15, 2024.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, that's this year, and I think that until the dam opens at the end, at the designated date in each year, I mean, that has to be reworded.
Yeah, I was going to
Because in
ask.
2025, it's not going to be until the dam opens in 2024.
That was,
Yeah.
that was my issue too, so.
Okay.
How about just until the dam opens?
Yeah, I think that would work. Then you don't have to update that
They
date
set
every
that
year.
date every year.
Well, you can't say until the dam opens, because there may be emergency situations with the water gets so high with rainfall, it may open as an emergency. So,
End of season?
yeah, end of season opening, well, it can be worded, I mean,
mean,
there's
we
a
know what-
time.
Yeah, but not a date certain. Like that.
The
Yeah.
question I had about this section was, so it automatically renews annually until terminated by the mutual written consent of both parties. It doesn't say when that written consent would have to be submitted.
Well,
like-
it's 24 hours before that date that we just listed. October, whatever
Does
it
it say that
was.
somewhere?
No, I
So
think
if
she
you
says
go-
if you want to terminate
No,
it.
if you want to terminate, like.
But I think the
you can't
termination,
Wait till, I don't know.
termination, there's a whole section on
Yeah,
termination.
there's a whole section
11.
on termination.
Section 11 is
And
Okay, I didn't
town
get that far.
council actually wanted us to chime in.
I'm
So-
looking at the highlighted parts.
We can terminate with or without cause, and we have to submit written notice at least 24 hours prior to the effective date of termination. And the recommendation from town council, or suggestion, is that we could
May want a
make that
longer
longer.
notice period.
Right, yeah, I thought 24 hours was a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, people make plans,
Right,
you just
exactly.
abruptly
It should be
change
like
it
a
one.
week.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That was, I did speak with someone at Shady Point. There were two things that, first, it's with their council still being reviewed, but there were two things they pointed out that they do know that they want to put into the agreement, that it is closed on 4th of July, so access wouldn't be permissible on the 4th of July, and that the agreement should terminate if the town opens a public boat ramp
I think
on
that was
town
included in
property.
here, wasn't it? I think I remember reading that, but anyway, maybe I read the comments and I was for the comment. I thought it was included, that we added that already. That makes just sense. I mean, if the town opens a public boat ramp, then we don't need them, and that's obviously goes without saying. As far as the date close, is Shady Point itself closed to the general
Yes.
public, to everybody? So they don't even have to say that. I mean, they should just say in the thing that it's open to the public when it's open. So if they're closed, they're closed.
I just want to bring
Yep.
that to the board's attention.
Well, now this is two conversations ago, so now we got a little buried, but when we were talking about section 4,
For term.
yes, reference was made, I believe, by you, Caesar, to that how, in other words, I think there's a difference. There could be argued to be a difference between non-renewal and termination, but I don't know, I don't know if you want to go and add something up in the term that if either party elects to not renew, then termination shall be in accordance with, the term shall be, the non-renewal shall be exercised in consistent with the procedure for termination, or something like this.
Well, if I mean, that's
It's
only if you change
automatic.
automatic. If it's automatic, then you have to terminate it, because
Right.
otherwise it's going to be automatically renewed.
Yeah, that's how I understood it too.
Yes, but then why have at all why address Until, until terminated, okay, yeah, I guess I'm fine
No,
with that.
the
Yeah.
termination date that's in section 11 talks about if you send them a message saying, I want to terminate this agreement on this date.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, okay, but that date could just happen, I mean, you could just make that coincide with a non-renewal. You know what I'm saying?
No, there is no non-renewal. If it's an automatic renewal, there is no time of non-renewal.
Well, it will renew automatically unless terminated. Okay, yeah, fine, it automatically is. We're saying the same thing, I think we're just hitting from different angles, all right? I'm tired.
Right. The next section that town council had was insurance, and this would be replicate our insurance, and this has been sent to our insurance representative, so, for comment. And we spoke about the termination section, and that.
Now, in the insurance, that was the one thing, and I think it was clarified, I don't have the exact section it was clarified, but they keep saying the licensee, so when they're talking about we, the licensees, they're talking about official vehicles, not our residence vehicles. We're not covering our residence vehicles going there. Is that correct? I think it's just official vehicles of the town of Lunenburg that we're covering.
That is.
We can't keep a liability for every resident's car that goes into Shady Point to launch a kayak. So we should get that clarified.
Yeah, I mean, I read that the same way. I think it's the only way it makes sense. The town is the licensee.
Right, yeah.
But the licensee has invitees who are the residents.
Right.
And they're not covered.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you talked about the termination section, and that was the only other comment by town council. So the termination section changed to 1 week.
I think
that's reasonable,
I think it's
yeah.
reasonable, yeah. I again want to take the opportunity while we're pausing here to thank the owners of Shady Point. I think this is a very generous offer, and I think it resolves an issue that was contentious at best on that site walk of those two properties. And it offers basically the equivalent in process of a town boat launch anyway, in a much safer area and a much more protected place without having cars on the street and people rummaging through, wetlands to drag a boat into the water at some marsh area of Lake Shirley.
I concur entirely. Okay, so we're done with that? Okay. Okay, so town manager evaluation timeline. Now, I read the timeline, but do you want to speak to this, Madam Town Manager, or
Again.
please?
So every year we discuss the timeline for my evaluation. It typically starts in April. So we are obviously beyond that and beyond the dates that are set out in this proposed schedule, because this was on the agenda last week to be discussed, but due to time limitations, it was passed over. It begins with my self-evaluation, which I provide to the board members. The board members then schedule a meeting with me to review their evaluation. They filled it out and provide that document to me in advance to review as well. And then after my individual meetings with board members, they have the opportunity to maybe change anything after our meeting and then submit their final evaluation to the chair, who puts together a composite evaluation that is presented at one meeting, read, and then a second meeting to vote on and adopt.
Okay, so we're obviously on a super compressed schedule at this point. The 17th is Friday. I'm no longer a select board member as of 5 PM on Saturday. There's runway for me to do my individual evaluation, but I obviously wouldn't be a part of any vote on accepting the composite. So realistically, like with where are you, and realistically, is it open, is it open for us to go ahead and do our own select board member evaluations at this point?
That's
Yeah,
for
that's
the
not a
board
town
to.
manager. You're asking the wrong direction.
Okay.
Let me just ask a question of the town manager. Have you done your self-evaluation?
No, I would have
No.
began it last week if the board voted
My
on the
personal-
schedule, but not knowing that. I
Yeah,
didn't.
so my personal feeling is this train not only has left the station, I think the train has left the county, and we're just gonna have a four-person, and it's really unfortunate, and it's really avoidable, and I can't believe we're in this position, but we're gonna have a four-person evaluation process, which is unfair to the town manager, it's unfair to you, Mr. Franco, and, I don't know how we got here, but we are here.
Okay, I guess one thing I was asking, and you're absolutely correct, it is our question, I was asking in the wrong direction, but I was more asking because I have not personally walked us through this process. You know, it's one of those things I've deferred to I've had the luxury of saying, I'm not the chair takes care of that, tell me what to do. So,
So we vote on the timeline? Is that what you said?
You discuss it and agree on the timeline.
Okay, agree on it. And then do we also, I'm just trying to figure out what we can actually do tonight.
Yeah.
Do we also have to like approve the actual evaluation form too?
The evaluation form has been the same evaluation.
Right, or at least just say that we're gonna use the same one from last year? I don't know, I guess I'll defer to you. What do you think we can actually do on this
We could do,
tonight?
yeah, we
can
could do
probably
all
set
that. But
the
now it doesn't
timeline.
matter. I mean, the point is, the reason why the timeline is the timeline is because of the potential change in select board members, which in this case is going to happen. Mr. Franco is not running, so the chance of him winning is very low. And
Not
therefore-
impossible.
Not impossible, no. Listen, you wrote in to get in here, people could write you in again.
I will decline.
So now the timeline doesn't matter, although again, in fairness to the town manager, because her contract is up for renewal and I don't know the date, I think June of this year. So again, it would be nice as the employee to know where you stand by the people who are evaluating you sometime before you go into those things. So that's why it was back in April to give 5 weeks to do this.
Yeah, so I guess one of my questions is the way this is laid out. Again, I've previously taken this for granted, the way this is laid out. So, and it's just sort of like, when I was just participating in this without running it was, hey, I need your evaluation back by such and such a date. So the way this runs is, it looks like we have to have the town manager's self-evaluation before the window opens for us to do.
Yes.
Okay, then yes, the train has left the county. So, yeah, there's no, yeah, okay. But if there is anything that we can act on this evening, such as, if it's approving the format, I mean, these types of things.
Yeah.
It's been the format forever, so.
Well, not forever, but I mean,
Well,
yeah, I would say that the time for making any adjustments to it, again, has passed. Like, that should have been reviewed in March, so that people could say, I mean, there's not a lot to change. I mean, it's pretty standard employee review, if you've ever gone through it, so there's no magic things there. They cover a series of topics, and then there's the narrative at the end, so you get to free-form your own commentary at the end.
I would accept, Mr. Alonso, if you would, we could do your experience in this area. Do you have any recommendations on what we could and should act on this evening?
Well, we could just accept this time, well, we'd have to accept when,
We'd have to
Adjusted
modify the
time.
We need a
timeline,
timeline.
yeah.
so the first question to ask, and this would
Yeah.
involve the town manager, is when do you think
Yeah.
you could have its self-evaluation done?
And then we shift all the others accordingly.
Yep. But also the format of do we bother voting on that to say, hey, we're going to use the same evaluation?
Right.
That I think we can do tonight,
Yeah,
if
right.
if the board so moves, so.
Okay. So let's do that. I would take a motion to that effect.
I move to approve the town manager evaluation form as it currently exists.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's 4-0 to use that same format and procedure. Now, let's turn to the timeline, and Madam Town Manager, if you could give us a realistic assessment as to when you think you may have, would be able to produce your self-evaluation.
I would say realistically, by the 26th, that weekend.
26th? 26th.
So that pushes everything basically back 2 weeks.
And
26th is,
What day of the week is that?
That is
that
a,
is
Sunday?
Sunday. Yeah, I just
Sunday?
moved it 2 weeks.
the following
okay,
Sunday.
yep.
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. So it's very unlikely that it, I'd be working on it during the work week. That's,
Okay.
be weekends.
So that, then that,
And-
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The week of the 27th, that's,
It's more than,
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
and I am not here on the 28th, and I have a conference that week, so.
so it doesn't matter, so you should, so we're not going to be able to do it then, so that pushes it
So I
another
would-
week.
Yeah, the earliest to meet with the board would be the June 3rd week.
And, hold on, I need a calendar in front of my face here. So you would still stick with getting the town manager evaluation out by the 26th? Or,
I could, yeah, aim for
I
that.
mean,
Yes,
yes.
that would be good, because that would, even though we can't schedule a meeting with town manager, at least we can start beginning our writing, but we can't, we don't send our finals until we meet with the town manager.
Okay. And then, so as far as the individual select board members meeting with you and producing their own individual evaluations, you're saying you're out the 28th, right?
Week of June 3rd.
The week of, yes, that week. Because she's going to be out the rest of that week
Right.
too, so
Okay.
it would have to be.
So we're into June 3rd week?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
June 3rd week.
Yep.
All right, so it's usually over a 3-day process, is it? A 3-day period?
Well, no, it's
That
the whole week.
Any
The whole week?
time that week.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so 6,
So that means everybody submits them by the,
7th.
The Friday.
by Saturday, I guess. I mean, the chair is not going to get to them on the weekend.
So 6/3 to 6/8, produce and submit?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the chair is going to need a week to produce it, and then we're going to need 2 meetings, one to present it, because it can't be sent to the members because it's a public document. So it has to be presented at a meeting, and then the board, no discussion on it, then the board has the ability to review it, and then the next meeting can talk about it, although there is the period in between where you can present, the members can send to the chair any edits or changes they'd like to see, only to the chair, and then we can discuss them and finalize at the next meeting.
Okay, so let me see if I have this right. So by 6:15, the chair has sent the composite to the board members. Then on the meeting of the 18th, that is the first presentation of that composite to the public, essentially, but no vote. And then the 25th is the vote.
Right.
Okay.
So that it's perfect timing for Independence Day.
We barely make it in the month
Yeah.
of June.
Okay.
So we're going to make it at the end of this fiscal year.
Okay. Did you catch all that, or should I jump?
Yes.
All right. All right, so that's what it is.
So I think we can approve the rest of the timeline next week, but I would say that we at least approve the deadline of May 26th for the town manager's self-evaluation to be distributed to the board members.
Okay, is there a motion? No, that was the motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's 4-0.
We really don't have room to move it.
So that's the date, that's the only date right now that's set. Okay. Minutes,
I don't think there are any.
There are no
No.
minutes or warrants.
Right.
There is one.
There
Warrants.
is one
Yes,
warrant.
there is a
Oh,
warrant.
well, look at that. Wow, I'm used to stack of warrants.
I just actually said warrant article. Okay. Warrant. So we have an accounts payable warrant in the amount of $10,000.
Wow, that seems like a pretty round number.
This is for half of the payment to the Lunenburg Food Pantry for their ARPA
Oh, for
funding.
ARPA, okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
And that's the only warrant, right?
What a process it was, getting these funds out.
Action items.
I have none.
I have none. Nope. Okay. We're done with action items. Committee reports, starting from the other end of the table, the far end.
School committee met May 1st, I think. I finally got around to watching at least part of the recording. The DPW director presented on the BMP, or the detention, I don't want to say pond, basin, there, in front of the middle high school. And the school committee had a number of questions, so I believe they sent their questions to DPW director, and he'll be addressing those questions. The other topic of discussion was fees that they charge now, fees they may want to consider, and so on. There were a lot of questions around a couple of fees in particular, the parking fee and the pre-K tuition at the primary school. So there'll be follow-up on those specific fees and additional fee discussions in a coming meeting. I think their next meeting is not tomorrow, it's 22nd, next Wednesday.
Capital planning, I have sent out an email to the members asking them for when they can next meet. So they had requested in the beginning of the process in late August that they wanted, after the capital planning and the budget season was over, we would do a more forecast, multi-year forecast plan. That is what they requested. So I've asked them to supply dates that they're available for the next 6 weeks on a Monday or a Wednesday. So until I don't have a set date, I don't think I've gotten any responses.
So the planning board met last night. I was only able to watch the first half of the meeting, but it was pretty interesting. There were a lot of public comments. There was one made in particular by a very well-informed and organized group of students who are concerned about the lack of sidewalks in town. They seem pretty motivated to keep pushing that issue. And there also was a presentation and a discussion on the old gas station property that the town has, and what we're trying to do with it. So we're in a pretty unique situation because it's still our property, and before we get rid of it, we can kind of have a say in the direction that we want it to go in. And there's a bunch of different options right now. So there's definitely going to be, I believe, like 6 parking spaces or something like that, like some gardens, a little like seating area. And as for the building itself, it can either be renovated, and if that's not a good option, then it'll have to be torn down, and obviously a new building will have to go there. But if that's the case, then the building will have to be like 2 stories at least. So I guess there's a lot of possibilities that could happen because of that, whether or not there's like a restaurant or a cafe on the first floor and housing units above that.
Mixed use.
Yeah, mixed use. So, yeah, we are going to, I believe, have a presentation, see that same one that the planning board saw in a couple weeks.
Yes, that was their initial first step to get some feedback from the planning board and to incorporate that into any, their conceptual plans for the property. And they had a good meeting with them, constructive feedback on the plans as presented. They will be meeting with the board on June 11th to present the plans as well and discuss the RFP.
Is that our board, June 11th?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. That's soon.
And in the meantime, I'll be meeting with the point person from BSC Group regarding the RFP to discuss that, but we will incorporate into the bid as far as what the possible options are for that property. And we've also had I think I reported in one of my town manager reports already, but we had a internal type meeting with a member from APDC, the planning board chair, the building commissioner, the facilities director, myself, our representatives from Mass Development and BSC Group to discuss all these different things that may come up with the property. And also our environmental consultant, Joe McLaughlin, and the additional work that's being done there to do testing on the water, because that's going to play into it as well.
Excellent.
That's all I had.
Okay, so Council on Aging met today. There was sort of just small updates on various items, so I'm really just going to highlight some upcoming events, which will all be at the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center unless otherwise stated. So there's a program called Tech Essentials for Seniors on this Friday, May 17th at 1 p.m. There's a legal program, Directions for Your Life. That's Friday, May 24th at 11 a.m. The Lunenburg Memorial Day ceremony, which is really across the street, is Monday, May 27th at 10 a.m. There's the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center is closed on Memorial Day, Monday, May 27th. Lawn chair concert at the Adult Activity Center, the Sunshine Boys, Friday, May 31st. And there's no time for that. There's no time put for that. I don't know why. Do you know about those?
I don't know enough.
Okay. Well, there'll be other meetings where it can be announced. Yeah, it can be announced next week, I suppose. Somebody's going to text me, I'm sure, right
Yep.
now. I'll have it in a
Looking for
minute.
that.
All right. And then another program, Preventing Financial Fraud, Monday, June 3rd, 1 p.m. And then a CPR class, Wednesday, June 12th, 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. And that's all I have, unless somebody chimes in with the time for that lawn chair concert.
Mr. Chair, you mentioned a date, a holiday upcoming, and I know I've gotten a couple of questions and I have no answers to this. Has anybody on the board heard about any Memorial Day service this year?
I've also been asked that, and I don't know either.
I have not. I've just been sort of assuming it's happening, but I have not specifically heard.
I think we've all just been assuming it's
Yeah,
happening.
Yes.
Well, the committee that's been putting it on, or the people that have been putting it on, again, it's always
gonna
assumed
ask
that they would
about
do it
that.
again, but again, it has not been brought up, and now it's, what is it?
2 weeks
12
from yesterday.
12 days away?
Is there an
13
actual
days away?
committee? Who's it normally organized by?
There had been at some point an actual committee, and then there stopped being a committee, and again, I don't know. It's like town evaluations. I mean, town manager evaluations used to happen periodically too, so I don't know what to say.
All right.
So if
well,
anybody wants to volunteer and put something together, you got 2 weeks. This would be very interesting.
Hopefully there's something in the cooker somewhere that we just don't know about.
Yeah. All right, well, that's interesting.
Okay, any other, no, I was last. No committee reports. All right. Upcoming meetings, event schedule, May 20th, well, this is you guys. The Select Board's going to meet May 21st.
I will not be here May 21st, so I am not here next week.
Okay. June 4th, June 11th, and June 18th. Okay. With that, I will move on to public comment, starting with the town manager.
I have no public comment other than to say thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you,
Yes, yeah.
thank you very much. Public, any public comment from the public? Mr. Passios. Oh, this is, yeah, this would not be a proper send-off if we didn't.
As you know, I always have an opinion or an issue at some point. I couldn't let you leave this evening without one. First of all, thank you for your service, and you will be missed, I'm sure, by your board members. Let's see, I want to qualify this. I'm making comments as I made as a member of the Finance Committee during a budget presentation, and I'm also making comments as an individual taxpayer. It really distresses me to hear that we had an employee resign seemingly because of IT issues. And bottom line, that's what that sounds like. You can blame Munis all you want, but they're IT issues. During the IT budget presentation, I brought up issues that had been expressed to me by town employees unable to do their jobs because of their computer equipment and IT issues and inability to interact between programs. So it doesn't surprise me that a newer employee got so frustrated that she just moved on. And those issues that I brought up back then were supposedly looked at, some comments made, oh yeah, you need this, you need that, you need this, but to this day have still not been resolved. So we have the new board going forward, I hope, really takes a deep dive into what's going on with our IT. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Alonso.
In response, I want to be very clear that the issue with Munis and the issue with Tyler Software, the manufacturer of that, is the issue. It is not an IT issue. IT cannot solve issues with the software itself. It would be like having a problem with Microsoft Excel. It's not a little piece. Munis was upgraded by the manufacturer of their own project that we gave them access to, and in my eyes, failed miserably in their own upgrade of their own software. That is true. I was on calls with Tyler, with our own town employees and the town manager. As somebody who works in IT, there is a far cry from poorly implementing a properly working package and a improperly working package. This fell into the latter. So this is squarely on the upgrade that Tyler did of their own software. My feeling is because they jumped way too many versions, from one ancient version to a new one without doing intermediate steps, and messed up forms, messed up calculations, messed up where data was being pulled from, that took them forever, and I think it's still ongoing, to untie that knot. And it was a really bad knot. So, I want to be clear on that to me, it is not an IT issue. I think that the IT staff, and I will call out specifically Dan Nadareski, has done an incredible job making himself available every way he can to make the servers that this runs on accessible so that the software manufacturer has access to make the changes they needed, but the changes had to be made by the manufacturer.
Not the point I made, but I'll leave it alone. We got next week.
Any other public comment from the public? Okay. Public comment from the board.
We have to come up with something to keep Lou here for a record amount of time. No. Just thanks, Lou, and we'll miss you. Best of luck.
Well, thank you very much.
I will, first of all, say thank you, Lou, but then I'm going to get something serious. And that is 2 meetings within 3 days, one on Thursday, one on Saturday, one in the municipality of Lunenburg on Saturday is the override, and then those in the specific district on Thursday. At stake is just shy of $33 million. So the override is about 900 and some odd, just shy of $1 million, that if passed would be added onto the tax rolls and added to forever. That would be shared by the approximately 5,500, 5,700 households in the town. And the water district project is $32 million, which is basically $8 million shy of the whole omnibus budget of the town, that's going to be shared by the customers of the water district, which totaled 2,500 households. So 2,500 households are going to be asked to pay for 32 million, that's only for this project, and then 13 million when they go to Keating's, which everybody agrees has to be done. So this is your chance as a voter. These are the two chances you get to make your voices known about whether these costs and whether these projects resonate to you and are worth it to you. And the way to resoundingly show that is to everybody go to those two votes. One's an in-person meeting, the water district, and then the town is an actual ballot. Generally, off-year election ballots in town get nobody coming. Hopefully, with the ballot, with question one and the override, hopefully we'll get a majority of people, so we'll know that a majority of the town, not a majority of the people who went to the ballot, but the majority of the town wanted or didn't want this project. Same thing with the water district. Please, this is your opportunity, because if people don't go, and it goes one way or another, you know, that was the one chance you had to participate, and I urge people to participate. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Nozzola.
I don't have any public comment.
Okay. We already did the town manager, right? We did that. So in that case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous.
Do you want to use the gavel for your last?
Excellent.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.